Welcome to Game Soup. It's a game design podcast where we throw ideas in a pot and see what's cooking. I'm Chloe, and I'm joined as ever by Kayla. How you doing, honey?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. I've had so much going on in these last 3 weeks. I'm doing much the same as I was at the end of last episode. But you had a fun game idea for us, right?
Yes, so I've been playing Peak recently. It's a mountain climbing game. And at first I tried to pitch it as I was like, what's the mountain climbing TTRPG? But then I was told that friend of the pod, Laurie O'Connell, is making one of those, so back that on Kickstarter when it comes out.
It might be live on Kickstarter now at the time of this episode being out. I don't know the exact date he's planning to launch, but it has been sometime in August, which it currently is. We can all feel the August air.
Absolutely, yep.
So what was your variation on pitching something to do with the word or the game Peak?
Yeah, so it's like the joke is, oh, it's Peak. It's the game's called Peak, but it's like, oh my god, it's Peak. So it's like, what other games could we do? Like, could we snipe the market? Could we beat the big producers to the punch and get a game called G.O.A.T out, or the G.O.A.T?
So that people say that, oh, this game is the go. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then you said to me, what if your stats spelt G.O.A.T?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
so then we can have the cover be like G.O.A.T or whatever. So yeah, we're gonna work out what the stats are using our random word generators. So you said I can choose what the first and last letter are on here. So I will
You don't
generate
need to see the last, but yeah.
A G. So the first word is gregarious.
Oh, I thought we were going to have pictures. My other two options are govern and glance.
Glance. I don't even know what gregarious means, so probably not that one.
You can also change it so that they're verbs, specifically.
Oh,
that might be more
okay,
useful
let's have
for
a looky
stats.
loo. I also got gaze. I guess it's gaze.
Why glance, which is a bit different than gaze? What do you want, glance or gaze?
I always want gaze, honey.
Let's go with gaze. And now...
Overlook. It's all just words about looking at things.
Open or obtain. So obtain maybe is good.
Obtain, that feels like an action I can do in an RPG, yes.
Yeah. Glance, obtain.
Acknowledge.
I've got allow or aim.
Aim, that could be a good start.
Okay, so glance, obtain, aim, and then for T...
No, that's a Y, Chloe. Time, thank, touch.
Touch, maybe?
Yeah.
Glance, obtain, aim, touch. So these are your stats. These are all very...
I feel now, obtain and touch have overlap.
Should we replace T then with something else?
Yeah, I think we don't have a
I've
social...
got threaten.
Threaten. There you go. That's your social stat.
Okay, so yeah, we should figure out what is the stat glance. Is that... Oh no, it's gaze.
Gaze? We went back to gaze. Okay. I'm writing these down so I don't forget because I have the memory of a goldfish these days.
So is gaze a perception equivalent, or is it about stare, like staring? Is it social?
I think we have to give each of these it's obvious thing, but then also there's maybe a power attached to them. And so gaze is your looking at things and your observation and all of your senses maybe. But then
okay, that makes sense.
You also have some sort of looking special ability maybe. I think maybe you pick one of these as your speciality.
That could work. Let's maybe go through the broad categories for all of them so then we have an idea of, I guess, what are your main ways of interacting with the world. So O is obtain. Is that a stealing stat? In general, picking things up is easy. So what is this? Is this bartering in a social way? Or is it a sort of grappling thing?
I think it's like interaction with like physical objects I can see. Um
So is
but
it like a
also like
dexterity equivalent?
yeah. It's like manual handling, basically.
Yeah, it's your handling, your fine handling skills.
Yeah.
So it could be lock picking, it could be piloting a machine, it could be
Picking up a heavy box.
yeah. Okay. Aim feels like it is your targeting.
Yes. Um but I think as your
It could also be
alternative
your
to
aim
that,
and fire.
yeah, I think it's like you're targeting in like combat and stuff, so like you can do cold shots or whatever. If we have combat, I don't know. But I think you also can use it to like direct people to do things. It's like aim at that. This is your target. This is your goal.
Also, in that case, maybe it's also like your maybe it's an equivalent of sort of like I guess your drive. Like your aim is something. You have to maybe
Yeah.
in this game write up specifically what your aim is, and you give that a number, which is how much you are like devoted to this. And occasionally you are checking things against your aim, which is kind of against your belief or how much that can drive you or something.
Yeah, like you get a bonus if whatever you're doing helps your aim become a thing in the world.
Um, and then the last thing, it was threaten, right?
Yeah. And I think that can be like social, obviously like being mean and being threatening. But I think if we were having combat, this could also be the combat stat.
Yeah, I think because we've gone with aim as more a motivation thing, I think this has to at least be your main physical stat. It is being physically threatening, and maybe that means that's the stat you use for like how you are attacking people if we have combat, but if not, okay, so with these sort of four stats, your main ways of interacting with the world are like looking at things, physically handling things, physically attacking things, and then also, I guess, your drive. This feels like a sort of like weird but broad scope of things. I think the interesting mechanic is probably on the aim, and then the rest are more straightforward, like rolling to pass checks.
Yeah. I think,
Maybe you could give each of them a poly dice,
yeah, like
with
at character
four.
creation, you assign each one a.
So I guess an obvious question here is: are you a literal goat or some kind of goat-inspired thing?
Well, no, I mean, a lot of. I mean, it originally came out of like basketball, right?
Yeah, yeah. It stands for greatest of all time. I know
Yeah.
this club.
Yeah. No, I didn't know if it was like of some other sport, like baseball or something, but I think
No,
it
I
could be funny.
believe. Oh, actually, I think it was first applied to Muhammad Ali, which was in boxing, and
Oh, well, there
then
we go.
also seen applied to. But yeah, it comes out of sports, specifically in America, is applied broadly in all other sports. People talk about who's the go in terms of
Yeah.
X, Y, Z, and then also it means other. Now it's just expanded to, I guess, even like wider slang use. Like I saw I think there's a thing of Idris Elba and John Cena in a Hot Wings thing, where Idris Elba was asking who's the GOAT in terms of wrestlers turned actors. So yeah, it stands for greatest of all time. But with our stats being a pun of GOAT, I was like, are we doing anything literal with this?
I feel like it could very quickly just become a honey heist.
Yeah. Do you think it has more depth than that then, in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, in my head, the current pitch is we have this very OSR ass stats, but then I want to make it like, what is a basketball game, but with OSR stats?
I see. Okay, so you want it to be about sport. I think this works better if it's about an individual sport. Like it could be boxing, or maybe it could be like something in the athletics, because there you do multiple disciplines a lot of the time.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
think
maybe you
like
are different athletes
a
at the
triathlon or
Olympic
something like that.
Games.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, triathlon's good actually. Yeah, maybe it's a big athlon.
a big
Maybe it's some
athlon.
kind of sci-fi sports game. So it's like a, you know,
Yeah,
infatathlon or something.
we're trying to work out
Um,
who is the best person of all time. And so we've got this incredibly vast list of every activity ever made, and we're going to compete a bunch of guys at these things.
Or is there something for a number that is in flux? Maybe it's called the Exathlon. And so it's like the GM is constantly rolling for what individual activities are coming up, but there's also a thing of, well, when does this end? It does have an end, but you don't get to know it. Maybe there's then something about how like some of these poly dice can be like your stats can be decayed to the lower dice thing, depending on certain failures. I guess then, your characters are all individual athletes. You could either make them literal historic athletes, or because maybe this is a sort of sci-fi thing with time, you could be like, oh shit, that's the laser ball champion from 2030X.
Yeah, I think it's super gonzo. Like, you have like Saturday morning cartoon guys, but I
do think like someone can choose to just be like, I'm Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I'm Lionel Messi. Yeah, I was frozen in a pod so I could compete.
Well, I think these are aliens with like real interdimensional powers who do this.
Yeah,
and then it's all about like how you're competing in these things, but also you kind of have the shared aim of like we want to get out of here. We don't actually necessarily want to compete. Our aim is to get home. So you need to keep competing because you have this competitive impulse, but also you are trying to work together and maybe figure out an escape from the Exathlon.
Yeah, while you are having to do these, giant hurdles or the course from Total Wipeout or, I don't know, supermarket sweep. Like, it's just a bunch of silly bullshit.
I know you said, like, you were afraid this would be Honey Heist. I do still feel in my mind that this game is maybe only 2 pages max. You could do it as a 1 page.
I don't want it to be animals doing crimes, is the thing.
You don't want... Okay, right, yeah. So, G.O.A.T, athlete, like, interdimensional athletes in the Exathlon or whatever. The G.O.A.T. Or maybe it's Who's the G.O.A.T or whatever. But yeah, this feels like a solid pitch. I think either of us could write this in a day.
Yeah.
I mean, neither of us are big 1-page people, even though we pitch some. I have written 2 1-page games. You've written some, right?
Yeah, a lot of my original, like, early games were 1 pages, and then, like, I wrote Rebellion 30XX in my bed on my phone at, like, 11 p.m. at night, and then that was, like, my first big game.
I think, like 1 page makes sense as a good place to experiment. My early games were not 1 pages, but they were very short. There were hacks of 1 pages that were more like 3 pages. I think one might have been in a sort of like A4 landscape fit.
And then I did 1 pages later. 1-pager.
But then later when I was doing 1-page stuff like Blood Rush, the fighting card game that was where I did the rules that became Transgender Deathmatch Legend, was a 1-page game, and I also did a solo 1-page game about being a monster who is filling in for Santa Claus and the Night of Presents. Both of those are kind of almost experiments or challenges to myself of like, how do I get things to the most succinct thing? There's some interesting stuff when I look back at Blood Rush when I had it played on Party of One. It's like the name of the villain being El Redbreaker, and I was like, the only reason they're El Redbreaker, like, it's kind of an M. Bison thing, but it was because I couldn't fit another first name in there without, like, breaking the lines. The exact amount of details, like, Enya's Comet has was because I was like, I need this to give some kind of inspiration, but then, like, I'm otherwise getting out of this, because half of this page is the fighting game rules. So I think there's it's interesting. I think they're obviously an area people start out in because it's just making something small, but then I think when you are more aware, the fun challenge is really keeping to that thing rather than... I think obviously as we get more into game design, there can be a temptation to overcomplicate everything. And sometimes, trying to constrain something to a form is very useful.
It's impressive to do a 600-page book, as impressive as it is to do a succinct, good game in 1 page.
Yeah, I think it's a thing for me. I feel like my ideal size of most of the games I write, it's somewhere between like 40 to 80 pages. I think I have certain game ideas I might pursue, like Asphodel FC, which I've been thinking more about, is probably going to be a bigger game than that. I'd be very surprised if it breached 200.
Yeah. I always imagined it as a
really the
hardcover
type
game
of
from
game.
you.
Yeah, and I almost have a question of being like, I don't know if I ever want to make a hardcover game. I feel this is the one that could most support it, because as well of all of the rules, it would probably have to have a lot of setting stuff and a lot of stuff about facilitating the game. So I could imagine it as, a hardcover, or I could imagine it as like two bundled paperbacks. I could see this as the first time I actually do a separate running the game book, because I also think at the point of this game being finished, I think there's probably a thing where it's like, oh, here's the game, here's the setup, here's how it plays. Also, you could take the card game rules and the play things and easily just play not even real, like, RPGs with it. You could just play it as a fun card game you have a bit of a meta with friends. So maybe all of that side could be in there along with world stuff, and then the running the game has a lot of advice about tournament things. I don't know. It would all depend. I haven't started writing this game, even though I have narrowed down.
Oh my god, you've not started it?
Well, I've started it in the sense of I've been in a note drafting phase,
Okay.
I've not got a Word doc open where I've started being like... It's the thing, because what I need to do first now is write up the card game rules, because I'm going with this TDL2-esque idea. And then I need to look at this card game and go, okay, does this seem fun to play? I might do some sort of tests of that, or send it around to people. And then from there, I now have a lot more figured out of, like, my idea is sort of that a team is made up of the things a great team needs is tactics, skill, chemistry, and morale, or drive. And the tactics come from the player. The skill comes from the individual, like, effects that you gradually add to cards in the same way like Forecaster works. And chemistry affects your draw size. That's like, there's going to be 8 tricks in the game, but you might have a hand of 10 if you have, like, very good chemistry, or even higher. And then morale would be affecting, like, the kind of mulligan you have, where, like, there's the much better one where it's like, oh, discard and redraw 3 cards versus, like, you get 1 chance, you can scrap the whole thing again, but with 1 less card. You know what I mean?
It feels like you know all of the rules of the game, you just need to write it down.
Well, there's also a thing, once all of the rules of the game are written down and I can see them and see if they're good, it's then needing to build out how does this get structured as an RPG. I think the way the cards work is they're like, you play the card game to zoom in on the matches, and then I have idea of the scene structure around them, which is where the bulk of the role-playing happens. We actually don't zoom in on the matches. You zoom out and show them in their broad strokes, and then you zoom in on the player interactions between them. But yeah, it's first figuring out, does this card game look fun? Does this work? Does it feel balanced or possible? I think it works, but that is the thing I need to actually put, not pen to paper, like keys to board on. And yeah, then it's a question of figuring out what is the shape of this book, which probably also involves questions like, this does kind of sound like a book that might need art. It's probably not something I could do in my photo collage style, but maybe I could figure out a way I was doing that. So there's a lot of big questions to figure out. Maybe I'll have all of these answered and a bunch written by next week's episode.
Yeah, definitely next week. Thank you for listening to Game Soup.
Game Soup.